Hi, and welcome back to Sustainable Teacher. If it is your first time here, my name is Leticia and I'm glad to meet you. And if you've been here before, I'm happy to see you again. In today's video, we are going to talk about the networks and internet. So if you are interested, please subscribe, hit the notification bell, and if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Network is a word that we use a lot nowadays. I'd say that at least I use networks once per hour maybe. I'm not obsessed with internet and with social networks, but yes, we use them a lot. But what is really a network? Because sometimes we use these kind of words which sounds like technical, but we use them without knowing the real meaning or the real definition. So today we are going to learn what is a network and what is the internet, like what is really the internet, know how to use it, okay? So a network is simply something that connects two or more points, like in general. In the case of computer networks, is at least two computers that are connected and they share information, they share software, they share hardware or files. For instance, we have two computers and one printer, or at least three computers and one printer. All these computers share the same network and they are connected with the printer. So this is a network, and each computer in a network is called node. To connect them, we have two different ways. First, physically. It could mean with a wire, with a cable, or wireless if we use Wi-Fi, but even though they can be inside the same network, they can be connected. And we also have logical connections. Logical connection in this case doesn't mean has nothing to be with the reasoning. It means that it is a kind of software or code that the computer should have to be able to access, to belong to that network, okay? You know that computers has not been always here, neither the internet or networks. So this probably started in 1970, and at that moment computers started using telephone networks. But really, when this started seriously, it was in 1980. Actually, you know what? When I was a child, I used to use internet, of course, but the computers still use the telephone network, and if you were using the internet, you can use the phone at home. So I could be connected for 15 minutes, and then my mother was saying, I can receive phone call, stop using the internet. And that was my life. So right now, of course, it doesn't work like this. At that moment, computers use modems, and modems were used to transform the analog signal that telephone use to a digital signal that internet and computer use, okay? Today, we don't use modems anymore. We use routers, which they just transfers data from one network, from one computer to another, or from the server to the client. It depends. And of course, now telephone and internet have different networks. We don't use the telephone network anymore, thanks God. In the video about the web, we said that the web is one type of network, but I told you that there were more types of networks, and we can classify them according to different factors. Usually we classify them according to coverage, how many computers or extension area we can cover, we can send the signal to, okay? So the first type is the PAN, is personal area network. Is just one computer and one router, or one phone and one router. It's like the one that you use at home. You have your Wi-Fi and you receive your Wi-Fi into your computer, and that's all. You don't have access to the other computers at home or phones at home. If you have access, like in a small place, like in an office or in a school or at home, if your computers are connected between each other, this is called LAN, LAN, okay, LAN, and it's local area network. So, but this type of networks have a short coverage. If we want to use a bigger coverage, like a city, a whole city, or for instance, an university campus, and there are different buildings around the city, but they all share the same network. This is an MAN, Metropolitan Area Network. And the internet is not any of this. If we want to use the internet, we need a wide area network, WAN, and this is worldwide. It's not a city, it's not a country, it could be worldwide, like the internet, you know, World Wide Web. That's why it is called like this. But there are other ways to classify network. For instance, according to ownership, they could be public networks or private networks. At home we usually use private networks and we have passwords. But when we are in the airport and the Wi-Fi is open, that is a public network. Means of transmission is another way. It could be wired, like with a cable, or wireless, which is the Wi-Fi we already know. Then transmission model. It could be peer-to-peer, just computer to computer, or broadcast from one server or computer to a lot of them. And finally, according to topology. And we have different, it's like the way computers are connected in a network. Usually we use star topology, which is one in the middle and then the spread, or mesh, which is like kind of web, like a spider web, let's say. And finally, we should talk a little bit about network architecture. Usually nowadays, network use an OSI model. It's an open system communication model and is based in layers. There are different layers and each layer is concentrated in one function. And we have a total of 6 layers. For instance, application layer, which is the one that works with the interaction with users, how we interact with the computer, with the network. This is the layer that is focused on that. Then we have the presentation layer, is the way we see files, okay? If we have a JPG or a PNG file, this is gonna be a picture. If we have a DOCX, this is gonna be a text file, okay? These kind of things. Then we have the session, is the one in charge of collecting data. For instance, if we log in a website and we use a username and a password, the layer that is gonna check that data is the session layer. Then transport. Transport layer is the one that is in charge of receiving information from external access. Usually when we want to connect with our computer, we use the ports. Ports are those sockets inside the computer, like the USB ports or HDMI ports. And finally we have 2 more. The network as itself, and usually if we are talking about the internet, the typical way of working is with a protocol called Internet Protocol. And finally the physical layer, which is the one that is in charge of transmitting information from physical devices, from hardware. I hope you liked this video, that you now understand a bit more how networks work, how the internet works, and that now every time you say network, at least you understand a bit better what is it and how it works. So leave in the comments if this is totally new to you or you already knew something about this. And of course, see you soon!